Hey, it's Soul with another video. I'm going to tell you all how to prepare for patch 7.3, and you know what, let's just get right to it. Step 1. Relax. 7.3 is going to have a lot to do, but there's not a whole lot that we need to prepare for or stress about. So instead of steps, I'm just going to give a number of tips on what you should do, shouldn't do, and so on and so forth. One thing that you might want to hold on to is order hall resources. Don't spend that stuff on Blood of Sargeras because there's another expensive thing that you'll be spending order hall resources on. In 7.3, there's going to be consumable troops that you can purchase with these order hall resources. There are 3 types of troops. You can have 5 of them in your inventory at a time, and they're a little expensive. Now these troops are pretty useful. They're order hall missions that have certain requirements that these troops can cover. You're not going to be blowing all of your resources on these right away, but I'm just saying don't blow all your resources now. You probably want to hold on to your Blood of Sargeras because odds are you're going to get a lot less of it during 7.3. Blood of Sargeras is going to be replaced by Primal Sargerite. This is basically the same thing that's going to be dropping in Argus, and for the most part, you're going to be spending a lot of time up there. You can transmute Blood of Sargeras into Primal Sargerite at a 25-to-1 ratio, but I do not recommend doing this at all, considering how long it takes you to farm Blood of Sargeras. This Primal Sargerite is going to be used to make Primal Obliterum. This new Primal Obliterum is what you're going to need in order to upgrade your crafted items to item level 935. The formula to make this is 1 Obliterum to 1 Primal Sargerite, and this is something you can trade in indefinitely by your Obliterum Forge. So when you think about it, the supply side of things is going to get a little bit funny. Blood of Sargeras is used to make Obliterum. Obliterum is used with Primal Sargerite to make Primal Obliterum. Blood of Sargeras and Primal Sargerite have separate sources. Most players are going to be spending the majority of their time in the new content, where Blood of Sargeras does not drop. So once again, hold on to your Blood of Sargeras. It's not like you're going to blow all of it at once, but just hold on to it. The same sort of goes with Obliterum, but I'd also argue that, you know what, you probably want to start building this up too while prices might still be low. Once again, Obliterum does convert to Primal Obliterum, and all you need is 1 Primal Sargerite. But just like how Blood of Sargeras was, there's probably going to be a very low supply of Primal Sargerite at first. There are multiple ways to acquire it, including completing missions, killing rares, and eventually you get an enchant similar to the shoulder enchant where you get a chance to get this as a drop from mobs. So you don't need to blow your bank and stock hundreds of them. But if you have the opportunity to build up a decent Obliterum stock, go for it. And every Primal Sargerite that you do earn going forward is going to eventually flip and get you a decent amount of gold. With all that said, if you have a gathering profession, you're in luck. You're still going to be using your gathering profession like there's no tomorrow. Gathering professions have been the big winners in Legion's economy, and 7.3 is no different. Gatherers will need to get new materials that are exclusive to Argus, so count on the demand totally outstripping the supply for a good chunk of 7.3. As cool as it is to see the desolate landscape of Argus, unfortunately we can't fly. If you've been slacking off to get a water strider, this is probably a good time to get back to farming for one. You'll be using it in limited amounts. And for engineers, it's your lucky day. Goblin gliders are going to make a big comeback. Making these is really cheap. It only requires Warlords of Draenor resources, and odds are pretty good that flying will not come to Argus, so this will have continued use for the rest of the expansion. Now for artifact power. To question whether or not you need to be at a certain rank, I would say that you probably don't need to worry too much. Keep in mind that on the first day of 7.3, everyone's artifact knowledge is going to be bumped up to 41. That already is going to give a decent bump to all future artifact gains, so I wouldn't worry, I wouldn't stress too much on trying to get your artifact level as high as you can right now, especially when there's maybe less than a month till 7.3 comes out. But there are a couple things you probably want to keep in mind. The Netherlight Crucible is going to be available 14 days after the start of 7.3, or otherwise at the beginning of the 3rd week. To access the second tier of your relic upgrades, your artifact rank needs to be at 60. From there are multiple milestones to meet in order to unlock the rest of the second and the final bottom tree: 63, 66, 69, 72, and 75. So if you want to set a goal, you can try and have your artifact rank at 60 by the time the Netherlight Crucible comes out. So this doesn't necessarily mean you have to grind out your artifact power now at all. Also keep in mind that 7.3 does not mean that the new Antorus raid is going to be coming out. That's probably going to be in a future patch like 7.3.5 or something. When it comes to pressuring yourself in your raid performance, the last big boost in your artifact weapon, hitting 75, doesn't need to happen until Antorus is released, and then you can sit on your hands and never care about artifact power again. Unless you're going for maximum rank, then good luck. There isn't much of a jumpstart when it comes to getting artifact power day 1. There are very few sources, including your weekly chest of disappointment, whatever emissary quests you've completed but haven't turned in. There are your Legion Fall turn-ins, so if you can manage to have maximum resources by the time 7.3 comes out, that'll give you a nice little bump. There's also turning in your nether shards for keys so you can open up many chests of disappointment. This is a pretty bad source, but as I'll tell you later, there's not a whole lot of use for nether shards in the future anyway. You want to have your champions at a reasonably high level. There are a lot of lucrative missions that do require your champions to be reasonably developed. With the new champion equipment that's coming out, it looks like you're able to have a follower go out by themselves with maybe just a troop or two. This will help you maximize your rewards, and having developed champions will make that all the better. If you're feeling hopelessly behind, I wouldn't worry about it too much, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. A couple of things to not care about or hold on to include loot boxes. Those boxes that you've been saving in hopes of getting something really cool and fancy, well, there's nothing new that's coming out of them. 7.3 doesn't introduce any legendaries that come randomly. The one legendary that you do get comes in the form of a quest. What's more is that the effect of this legendary is really generic. So this is entirely my opinion, but I don't expect any new legendaries to come out for the remainder of the expansion. So I guess that's to say you can hold on to the loot boxes if you want to, just don't expect anything awesome to come out of them. I've been hearing around that you should save up your relics for the Netherlight Crucible, and you can if you want to, but I disagree. Like I said earlier, with the Netherlight Crucible you'll be able to upgrade your relics in certain ways, but I'd say that unless the relics that you're holding onto happen to be of equal item level to what you have now, don't worry about it. You'll be able to kind of target relics with a Nether Shard-like currency. These have an item level of 910, so at the very least, get rid of your under 910 relics. Nether Shards don't have a lot of use in 7.3. If you're a lowbie, you can still buy Dauntless gear, but you won't be able to buy Relinquished gear. That vendor has moved up to Argus, and he's actually the one that sells you those 910 relics as well as 910 Relinquished gear, but he doesn't take Nether Shards anymore. He does happen to sell experience tomes with Nether Shards that you can give to your followers. It's not a great conversion ratio, but if you are the type that likes to do the assault objectives, at least Nether Shards have a place to go. Oh, and my bad, you can still use the Nether Shards to buy the reagents that you need to create legendaries. So that's it folks, that's the guide, and to be honest, I'm kind of glad that there isn't a whole lot for us to farm or grind for before 7.3. If you enjoy the content, of course like, sub, or heck, support me the best way you know how. You guys have a good one, I'll see you in August, and stay breezy.